Ms. Stollard.
Present.
All right, thank you. If we can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we're going to have a moment of silence, and if you haven't had the opportunity to silence your cell phone, please do so now. Okay. Do we have any board member statements? Curtis?
I do have a couple of ones. Some of them are a little bit old, but just as a reminder, I was able to attend with Marcus the Littleton Tot Lot for pre-K. When it was then dedicated, it was amazing to see those little kids come out and run around and crawl all over. And Mr. Marcus even crawled through the little car wash that was there for the little kid. He made it okay. Made it all the way. Linda and I had an opportunity to go to Bolts, which is training for new members of the board. Went over to the Freeman Fine Arts Academy, and watched a play, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, but I don't think all seven were there that particular night. So it was five dwarfs, and it was a different story, but it was interesting. Attended the spelling bee that we had here. And from the community standpoint, the city of Avondale last evening honored in the 17th annual Holiday School Spirit Drive for collecting food or whatever. Estrella Vista was one of the ones that was mentioned in there, which was really good. And the same thing last night at Avondale City, they have an exceptional student recognition, and they called Abby Stars, and they recognized Milena Loya Estrada from Collier as one of the students. So great opportunity to see the community as well as things going on here. Thank you.
Linda?
I got to go to Lakin's Science Fair. It was so exciting to see all of the experiments that these kids did. I must admit my favorite one was about makeup. In all the years I've done this, I have never seen one about makeup. These three girls were hovering behind me, so I had asked them, I was like, is this yours? And they said yes. So they explained to me. They did it on NYX, ELF, and Milk. So they did it on a primer and a blush, and they used them all, and then they went and they played at the park, and they had pictures of before and after, and they said that the Milk lasted the longest. Of course, the Milk was the most expensive. And then ELF came in second and NYX third. The other one I really liked was about the water and how it drains with the rocks, and then how it drains where you can drink it. I think my favorite thing was helping the kids look up the words, because it was written in Spanish, and I am embarrassed to say I do not know Spanish, and some of the words they did not know either. They showed me the different areas that they wrote, so we looked the words up together. And then they did volcanoes, and everybody ran to see the volcanoes. But all in all, it was really great. There was a lot of parents there, and the kids were just so excited to show everybody their science projects. And of course, Curtis and I learned a lot, just enough to be dangerous at this Bolts training. It was very interesting, and I think that's it for me, yeah.
Okay. So I had the opportunity to attend the Freeman Fine Arts Cheer Showcase and got to see not only Freeman Fine Arts' cheerleaders, but the cheerleaders from Estrella Vista and Quinton as well. It was just an amazing night celebrating our cheerleaders and them being able to show off everything that they do. Just supporting them and having the community see what they do all 4 seasons for our athletic teams. That was great. I also was able to attend Snow White at Freeman Fine Arts Academy, and they were missing a few dwarfs. Grouchy was supposed to be my son, and he was not there. So I think that they were just missing out. But it was great to see all the work that was put forth in just a week. Those students audition on Monday, and they perform on Saturday. And so they worked really hard. There was a lot of late nights there for all of those students, and the bats were just exceptional as well. And then lastly, I was able to attend the Duel in the Desert, where our Freeman Fine Arts' teams brought home silver medals, gold medals, and they even had the Judge's Heart Award for just pulling out the judge's heartstrings performing. Lastly, I would like to thank Rain Associates for all the work they did in helping us choose a superintendent. There was a lot of late nights there, and they helped us. They were there. They were looking at the data with us, categorizing it, and so I do appreciate all the hard work they put forth. Thank you. Okay, moving on to Dr. Smith and Superintendent's report.
Thank you. Good evening, Littleton board members and the public. I'd like to start my report by telling you about Missoula's Children's Theater last week. I think I've already been upstaged, if you will, on that one. The Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I'd just like to say personally, I didn't know there were bats in the original Snow White, but there were a lot of bats, weren't there? Yeah. But that's really nice. It was a very lovely presentation. The students' talent and passion were evident throughout. Bringing the story to life is a truly magical way. Their dedication and hard work shown on stage, captivating the audience from beginning to end. And I personally enjoyed watching the excited students prepare for their performance and the look of pride on the faces of the families. In the back, I went back and walked them. And everyone seemed like everyone I talked to, what's your child do? They're a bat. I go, oh, there's a lot of bats. At other schools, sharks at Quinton were dissecting flowers and discovering the wonders of nature. Also, Quinton students sketched pictures of Martin Luther King Jr. in art classes and learned about the civil rights movement. At Tres Rios, students have been working on their keyboard skills using typing.com, and they're making impressive progress. Their increased speed and accuracy are valuable skills that will benefit them in their career inside and outside of the classroom. Students also celebrate the richness of African American history and culture throughout the school year with a special focus in February. And in classrooms, students explore Black freedoms movement from slavery and abolition to ongoing struggles for civil and human rights. At Collier Business Academy for Financial Literacy, students participated in grade-level projects reflecting Dr. King's message of unity and equality. Several classes presented spoken word pieces, essays, and artistic tributes. At Estrella Vista, students focused on Dr. King's contributions and those notable during Black History Month. They read, watched, and listened to the powerful I Have a Dream speech, connecting it to their views on society. Students also wrote their own dreams for their future, family, and campus, and the classroom. At the Freeman Fine Arts Academy, they were celebrating Black History Month by recognizing the men and women who helped shape African American culture. Each day is featured in a Today in Black History recognition, culminating in the Black History Month showcase, So Now You Know, on February 21st. Lake and Prep Academy, many classrooms engaged in learning activities about Dr. King and other prominent Black leaders like Rosa Parks and Thurgood Marshall. The school also is celebrating Black History Month by discussing tolerance and respect for diversity during socio-emotional learning blocks. In our class, students watched videos and read books about African American artists and their contributions to the art world. At Littleton STEM, students read in academic conversations or created collages of images to hang in classrooms. On another note, President's Day is next week, and with that, our students have been engaging in various activities to learn about the significant contribution of U.S. presidents and their impact on our nation's history. Collier Business Academy for Financial Literacy has engaged students in cross-curricular activities, highlighting the role of U.S. presidents in shaping financial policies and economic growth. Students have explored presidential decisions and engaged in mock debate. At Country Place, students made connections between presidential leadership and the 7 habits of highly effective people. Estrella Vista Hawks learned about President's Day through nonfiction texts, with first graders researching President Lincoln and President Washington to share their contribution with peers. At the Fine Arts Academy, Falcons students have learned about the voting process, the role of the president, and the historical significance of Presidents Washington and Lincoln. This time of year, I look forward to reporting about our winners of our spelling bee, as was reported a little earlier. Ms. Capistrano shared this, and it's been one of our longest bees, which means it was a very tough bee, the more words you go through. The winner was 8th grader Landon Smith from the Fine Arts Academy, and the winning word was attempt. Our runner-up was Haley Perez, also an 8th grader from Collier Business Academy. Both of these students were eligible to participate in the regional spelling bee held last weekend at Yonker High School in Buckeye. However, they weren't able to go on to the next round, but best wishes for them. Science fair was a huge success. The impressive range of projects displayed by our students truly showcased their creativity and hard work. A variety of innovative experiments were featured, such as model of renewable energy system and detailed investigation into the effects of plant growth under different light conditions. The fair had a total of 56 projects. 8 projects will move on to the West Side Impact Science and Engineering Fair on February 21st and 22nd at Quentin STEM Academy. A huge thank you to the Quentin crew, staff, and students. We're grateful to the Quentin staff for hosting, setup, teardown, and student support. Thank you all for this amazing teachers who help their students have an awesome experiential learning experience. First through 4th place winners were selected for engineering and for science. For brevity, I'm only listing 1st place on engineering, Hot Wheels by Evelyn Soloranzo and Jacqueline Contreras from Quentin STEM Academy. 1st place science, Homegrown versus Store-Bought by Elsa Perkins, Jose Otero, Jaylene Flores from the Freeman Fine Arts Academy. Many thanks to Janaya Latu with Donors Choose for the donation of 16 ukuleles to Lakin Prep Academy, valued at over $1,500, and to Allison Wirtz Witt, Fiesta Bowl Charities, for the check of $2,500 to purchase classroom equipment at Collier. So we'll look forward to hearing some ukulele music over at Lakin Prep. I'll be looking for that soon. Thank you, and that concludes my comments for this evening.
Thank you. We do have a proclamation. Mr. Nielsen? Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Stallard.
For February Career and Technical Education Month, whereas all Littleton children have access to the highest quality education possible, that includes career exploration opportunities early in their educational experience. Whereas leaders from business and industry nationwide report increasing challenges related to connecting qualified professionals with available careers. Whereas students in career and technical education programs participate in authentic, meaningful experiences that improve the quality of their education and increase their engagement and achievement. Whereas the voters of Littleton support a partnership to afford our students access to opportunities to explore and develop skills that translate into future interest. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Governing Board of Littleton Elementary School District proclaims February Career and Technical Education Month and urges others to support and participate in these programs to strengthen our community.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 7, Program Showcase. Ms. Garrison?
Madam President, Governing Board, I'd like to introduce Miss Amy Rendon, our amazing principal from Tres Rios, who is here tonight to showcase the strategic partnerships she and her staff have developed to provide purposeful learning, real-world experiences, and career exploration in professions of service. She will also be recognizing her dedicated volunteer, Vianney Marquez, and her Kid at Hope Student of the Month, Mia Velarde Mendoza. Ms. Rendon.
Good evening. Good evening, President Soshanik, members of the Governing Board, Dr. Smith and executive team, and the members of Littleton community. I'm Amy Rendon, the principal at Tres Rios Service Academy. Thank you for this incredible opportunity to showcase the power of our school signature program and the transformation it fosters. At Tres Rios, we believe in empowering students to lead, advocate, and serve, both within their communities and beyond. Through strong community partnerships, we tackle the opportunity gap and elevate student achievement by blending intentional instruction with project-based learning. We offer students hands-on, real-world experiences that cultivate critical thinking, problem-solving, and collaboration. This approach ensures that every student, no matter their background, has access to meaningful opportunities, building the skills and confidence needed to close the achievement gap and reach their fullest potential. Pathways to Success. In December 2024, we proudly shared the Tres Rios story at the Arizona School Board Association conference, focusing on the power of expanding possibilities and enhancing student outcomes through K-8 career exploration. Our collaboration with Arizona Business Education Coalition, ABAC, is crucial in driving equity and preparing students for success. Tonight, we'll show how career exploration from an early age helps develop a skilled workforce, fosters student growth, and ignites career readiness. With project-based learning and ABAC's career exploration and development program, Tres Rios is giving students opportunities that open doors for their future success. Quality education is not just a stepping stone. It's a powerful economic elevator offering pathways to opportunity, progress, and growth. ABAC's mission, our partner, mission is connecting businesses and education leaders is essential for Arizona's future. The question we must ask is, when should we invite students to take the economic elevator ride? As Arizona's economy continues to evolve, the need for a skilled workforce is more pressing than ever. Early career exploration empowers students, boosting their skills, motivation, and future readiness. When students see the connection between education and real-world success, their engagement soars, and they remain focused on the bright futures ahead of them. Sadly, but with great opportunity, many students, middle schoolers, high schoolers, even college students, are feeling unprepared for their future. But together, we can change this with community partners and business partners. Equitable access and partnerships. Students from disadvantaged backgrounds often miss out on career exploration or discovery, which can have lasting economic consequences. Research shows that early exposure to careers significantly improves job prospects, especially for Native American and Hispanic students. It's clear, equitable access to career exploration, discovery can transform lives. The strength of business community education partnerships cannot be underestimated. These partnerships bring professional development, industry insights, and valuable mentorships to students, while motivating educators to engage in meaningful interdisciplinary projects that shape the future. Through resources like the ACED curriculum, My Future AZ, Edge Factor, and more, ABAC is providing, in partnership with us, our students, with the tools they need to succeed in the real world. These resources not only open doors, they guide students on the path to achieving their dreams. We are thrilled to highlight the collaboration between Tres Rios and ABAC, offering students real-world challenges, project-based learning, and essential skills for success. With a diverse student body, we tailor our programs to meet individual needs, ensuring every student has the opportunity to thrive. Our governing board goals focus on fostering a deeply involved community. By engaging community groups in the educational process, we ensure every student has the support and opportunities needed to succeed, strengthening the connection between education and the community for a more equitable learning experience. At the beginning of this year, our teachers were trained in Edge Factor, integrating career exploration into all content subjects through project-based learning. Through our service learning, students explored careers like public safety, fire science, EMS, and teaching. They created online portfolios, developed resumes, participated in mock interviews, and crafted their own journey pathways to success. Every step of this process empowers them to shape their futures with confidence. Our students had the chance also to attend Luke Day's Air Show and STEM City at Luke Air Force Base, where they explored careers and connected with military pathways. This event showcased hands-on experiences, and students discovered various career possibilities, inspiring them to dream big about their future. We continue to strengthen our partnerships with the Phoenix Fire Department and Franklin High School, giving students a learning continuum from middle school, from kindergarten, all the way to fulfilling their career in possibly public safety. In collaboration with WestMec, Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, and ABAC, we've developed and implemented a public safety curriculum that was adopted by the Arizona Department of Education. Our partnership with MCSO ensures continued focus on law enforcement, while our drone club work on their drone recreational certification in collaboration with our WestMec Avondale PD and a local high school, has given students the opportunity to explore cutting-edge technologies, also allowing that learning continuum to continue for them. This is what we're most excited also. Our Future Teachers junior high program helps students gain hands-on experience in the classroom, building critical communication, leadership, and problem-solving skills while exploring teaching careers. These real-world experiences equip them with the insight and confidence to make informed career choices. We recently inaugurated our Service Learning Lab, a dynamic space where students engage in project-based learning, whether it's Ms. Chase's sixth graders presenting their solar system project-based learning to second graders, or Mrs. Guzman's fifth graders creating podcasts on the American Revolution. These projects foster leadership, advocacy, and empathy, values that transcend beyond the classroom, empowering student voice and agency. What impact does community partnership have on our campus and on students? The curriculum and career exploration programs are designed to equip students with essential tools for success by removing barriers and providing new opportunities. We're ensuring that every student has the resources and support they need to thrive. In closing, we're incredibly proud to be featured with ABAC in the Social Television Network production as a leading Arizona K-8 public service focused school grounded in the power of career exploration, collaboration, and intentional instruction. With the continued support of our Puma Nation team and our community partners, we're preparing students to lead, advocate, and serve as compassionate professionals. This is our collective heart work.
You learn a lot of things about how to run them, but also the technical parts behind using a drone. So math, science, physics, all of that plays a part in it too. Maintenance of the drones, it's all in there.
I think it's pretty interesting, and I feel like we can learn about how to use them and how to use them during like police cases, if police officers even use them.
When somebody did something bad, like they took something that belonged to another person, a professional, can fly the drone with a camera on it. It helps our community by keeping it safe.
Help people when they're lost or missing. It makes me feel happy.
We enjoy serving as Future Teachers.
Future Teachers is part of our elective program that we started this year. Future Teachers falls under the category of service learning. And so we match students up that have requested to be in the program with specific teachers who have volunteered to allow those students to come into their room.
Like one, I think like seeing kids grow, and anytime some kid's having trouble with work, you go and help them, or like to help the teacher with like organizing things, reviewing things. Any way you can, really, just support the teacher. So.
If like they raise their hand and they need help, and if the teacher tells me what I need to do, I will go up to the student and explain to them how to do it and help them with it. It helps me serve by being more like respectful to people.
When you first get there, they kind of just introduce us to the students, and then after a while you get to like know how they are and what their names are. And normally the teacher just gives us like an assignment that they're working on that we need to like go more deeper into with the kids because they don't really understand it as much as others. I believe it helps me serve because it helps me in a way. It helps my Spanish, it helps my English, and I'm as well helping them. So I just believe like helping everyone is better than just not helping at all. I feel like being a teacher, like it's everyone's dreams as little kids, and I would want to become a teacher, so it's just helping me more for the future. Yo soy un líder, soy un servidor, y soy un defensor.
Ronaldo Galvan, he's a first grader. He does a full day DLL program. And my third grader, he does an after school program for about an hour with Miss De La Cruz.
I really hope this program is here to stay because, like I said, I love it. I'm a huge advocate about it.
He's bringing confidence and being able to practice it more, and that way they can not just learn it, but also retain it and be able to use it as they grow. But yeah, no, it helps you develop life skills. It helps you be open-minded about things. And as the world gets smaller with communication, it's faster for us to communicate. So the world gets smaller, that means there's more people that you can come in contact with. So that being said and told, it's like there's more languages that later on in the future we're gonna have to probably adapt to.
So I leave you with these words by Nelson Mandela. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. We believe that, and we believe in our Pumas. Thank you, and I am more than happy to answer any questions.
I don't have any questions. I just wanted to say that I think it's amazing what you guys are doing. Absolutely amazing.
I guess the only comment that I have is I think I can empathize with what you're trying to do. I was a 7th grader and took an earth science class, and my career built from there, and I got 40 years with the mines and everything around there, so I can trace my career back to at least 7th grade, and earlier than that with my father helping going out and looking for rocks and whatever it might be. So once we get somebody pointed at that early age, it's amazing what can be done. And even when you get into college, I've had friends that have been there for 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 years because they didn't know what they want. I finished mine in just under 4 years and got out and left them there to do what they wanted to do. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. Okay. All right, thank you. All right, and now we're going to introduce our Kid at Hope. I believe that our kid, oh, she is here. She made it. She's part of our softball team, so we had a game today.
Hi, my name is Mia Mendoza. I'm in 8th grade. I go to Tres Rios, and I'm a Kids at Hope. I'm a Kids at Hope because I show leadership. I push forward to my academics. I show compassion, and I'm a future teacher for kindergartners in a dual language program. Important ACEs in my life would probably be like teachers here at my school, which would include like Miss Acuna, which is my 8th grade social studies and science teacher, and as well my softball coach, and then Miss Perla, which is a school nurse. She always helps us beyond than what she has to. I would say my principal because she's always there to assist us whenever we need help. And then I would say my mom and my dad because they always push me to do more. And probably my uncle because he always tells me to pay attention on my school, and that's what I try to achieve. Thank you for choosing me as a Tres Rios Kids at Hope.
We have a little something for you.
Oh, thank you.
did win today. Now for our Volunteer of the Month. Good evening. My name is Amy Rendon, and I'm the principal here at Tres Rios Service Learning Academy. It is my pleasure to introduce our Volunteer of the Year, Ms. Vianney Marquez. Ms. Marquez has been chosen as our Volunteer of the Year because she is a passionate advocate for her children and all other students at our school. She consistently communicates about how great our school is to others and continuously spreads the word to our community on how great Tres Rios is. Ms. Marquez has gone above and beyond in supporting our classrooms. She is incredibly generous with her donations, whether it's providing supplies for projects, materials for the classroom, or treats for special events. Beyond her generosity, Ms. Marquez is a constant, enthusiastic presence, volunteering her time to assist with class activities and projects. She never misses an opportunity to attend school events, offering her unwavering support to both our class and our larger school community. Her positive attitude, dedication, and eagerness to contribute in any way make her an irreplaceable part of our school. She is a true advocate for our dual language immersion program and all students on our campus. She consistently attends our coffee with the principal and is a strong advocate for all kids. We are truly fortunate to have her as part of our team here at Tres Rios Service Learning Academy. Thank you.
Next up, I'd like to welcome Miss Samantha Armstrong to the podium to lead us in a celebration of teachers who have received National Board Certification. Unfortunately, they're not all with us tonight. However, here they all are, and to tell us about the program, Miss Armstrong.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Smith, the executive team, and Littleton community, I am thrilled to be presenting to you our National Board Certified Teacher Showcase this evening. National Board Certification is often referred to as the gold standard of teaching excellence, where teachers put their practice up for review against the criteria and rigorous standards for their certificate area. Research indicates that board certified teachers have a positive impact on student learning, school culture, and are proven to stay in the profession longer than their counterparts. What makes this more notable is that they do so voluntarily. They choose to seek out National Board certification. Tonight, we are celebrating the work of our most recent staff member, Elena Jones from Collier Business Academy, who has successfully completed the process to obtain her certification, but unfortunately she is unable to join us tonight. I wanted to also share that we are continuing our partnership with the Arizona K-12 Center for funding and coaching support for those who wish to pursue certification and do so with the support of our board and district. We are working to grow our numbers of certified teachers. We currently have 5 teachers who are in the process of certifying across the district. Our district also has recently, last year, was recognized for having the 3rd highest contribution of a school district in Arizona, so we were really proud of that. I really want to take a moment to thank you for this opportunity to share the amazing work that is done here in Littleton, supporting our national board teachers and continuing to allow us to grow new ones. Our current board certified teachers, along with Elena, will be celebrated year-round with a plaque that hangs up in the district office as well. Thank you for allowing me to share this with you.
At this time, we'd like to invite up any nationally board certified teachers to come and take a photo. I'd like to end with a shout out to Miss Samantha Armstrong, who really leads up this voluntarily as well and really gives support to teachers who are going through this pretty rigorous process. So thank you, Miss Armstrong.
Okay. Moving on, it doesn't look like we have any call to the public.
No, Mrs. Session.
Thank you. Moving to item 9, consent agenda. Is there anything that needs to be pulled? Okay. Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda.
Curtis, is there a second?
I second.
Linda, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, consent agenda passes. Moving on to item number 10, the IAP mid-year reflections. Dr. Haid?
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. This evening, as we do annually, I would like to invite the fabulous Mr. Brian DeLessio forward. He is our Director of State Federal Programs and also oversees assessment and helps me with all of the school improvement. So I really appreciate him and all the work that he does. And he is here to tell you about the progress of our goals for this year. Mr. DeLessio.
Well, thank you, Dr. Haid. I think I have a different nickname every time I come up, so you're going to run out of nicknames or I'll just stop coming up. Good evening, President Sosik, members of the board, Dr. Smith. Tonight I'll be sharing the school's IEP mid-year projections based on our current data. First, I'd like to review the 24-25 governing board goals in which the schools base their goals around. Goal 1, increase progress and skills in K-3 reading and 4-8 math. You'll see that Goal 1 has been split into a K-3 reading goal and a 4-8 math goal. Goal 1 aligns with the governing board principle 1, every student a learner. Students reach their fullest academic potential through a balanced academic core curriculum. The district ensures a rigorous, viable, and consistent curriculum for all students. Instruction is differentiated to meet the needs of a diverse student population, and students demonstrate growth towards mastery of the Arizona College and Career Ready standards. Goal 2, increase meaningful interactions between school and home. This includes parent and community engagement at school events. Goal 2 aligns with the governing board principle 3, families as partners. Families are knowledgeable about and actively involved in their child's educational program. Families are meaningful partners in their child's educational success employees and families communicate effectively in a professional and courteous manner. Goal 3, increase attendance and decrease chronic absenteeism. Goal 3 also aligns to Governing Board Principle 3, families as partners. The mid-year IEP goal updates for the 24-25 school year provide a comprehensive overview of the progress made by various schools in key areas such as literacy, math, family and community engagement, and chronic absenteeism. The chart that you see highlights significant achievements across our schools. First, I'd like to provide an overview of how we utilize our early literacy and math assessments to monitor and support student progress across our schools. For K-3 students, we employ the FastBridge Early Literacy Assessment throughout the academic year. This tool allows us to assess and track each student's progress by providing benchmark scores. These scores are categorized into 3 levels: high risk, or that's the minimum score, some risk, and low risk, which is the maximum score, with low risk being the most desirable outcome. For our 4th through 8th grade students, we focus on measuring growth in mathematics. We compare student performance from pre-assessment at the beginning of the year to the mid-year assessment. Growth is then classified into 3 categories: low growth, typical growth, and high growth. These assessments are crucial in helping us identify areas where students may need additional support and ensuring that we are meeting their educational needs effectively. So we'll go down the schools alphabetically, and you'll see there on the template as well. And thank you, Jim, for keeping that on there, so thank you. So at Collier, there's been an 18% increase in low-risk students. So again, that's a positive. For students in K-3 literacy from the beginning of the year to middle of year. Additionally, 84% of students in grades 4 through 8 have shown typical or high growth in math. At Country Place, they have demonstrated impressive performance in 4-8 math with 91% of students showing growth. The school has also seen a positive increase in family event attendance. Estrella Vista has shown significant progress in reducing chronic absenteeism with 42% decrease in chronic absent students from this time last year. And in 4-8 math, 75% of students have shown typical or high growth. At Freeman Fine Arts, strength is 21% increase in low-risk students in K-3 literacy. Additionally, there has been an 18% decrease in chronically absent students. Lakin Prep has shown high growth in K-3 literacy with 70% of students demonstrating progress. The schools also has 67% of grade 4-8 students, Lakin 4-6 students showed typical to high growth in math. Our online academy has demonstrated good performance in 4-8 math with 79% of students showing typical or high growth, and the school's also seen a positive increase in parent attendance at various events. At Littleton, 71% of kindergarten and 3rd grade students demonstrated growth in K-3 literacy. The school's also seen a positive increase in parent attendance at school events. Quinton has made significant progress in reducing chronic absenteeism with 47% decrease. The school's also seen a positive growth in 4-8 math with 63% of their students showing typical or high growth. And finally, at Tres Rios, they've shown progress in 4-8 math with 61% of students showing typical or high growth. The school's also seen an increase in attendance at academically focused school events. So overall, the mid-year IEP updates reflect a commitment to educational excellence and continuous improvement. The targeted interventions and support strategies in place are supporting further success as we move towards the end of the school year. Thank you for your attention and continued support. And does anyone have any questions?
It doesn't look like it. Thank you, and thank you to all the staff who are working so hard with our students.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. Moving on to number 11, student safety and wellness. This is information. Ms. Garrison?
Madam President, Governing Board, tonight I would like to share some of the safety measures in place across our district that are designed to support safety of students, staff, and the community. This is not an all-inclusive list, but rather a reminder of key practices designed to enhance student wellness. We believe that hearing about safety, the more we talk about it, helps to reassure our community that safety is a top priority here in the district, and sharing information also provides insight into why certain protocols are necessary. For example, a few years ago, we implemented a single point of entry for our buildings during school hours. Additionally, all adults, even those that are well-known, who we really know, must present identification at the front office when signing out students or requesting student information. While these procedures may not always be convenient, they are essential to ensuring student safety. Before reviewing additional protocols, I'd first like to explore the definition of both physical and emotional safety. Physical and emotional, the definition is here, right? Physical safety involves being free from present and impending threats of danger, and psychological safety is actually feeling safe and protected from threats. But physical and emotional safety are deeply interconnected, and one cannot truly exist without the other. When students and staff feel physically secure through measures like security entry points and identification checks, it fosters a sense of emotional well-being, allowing them to focus on learning and collaboration without fear. Conversely, an emotionally safe environment where individuals feel valued, heard, and supported encourages vigilance and trust, making physical safety measures more effective. Together, these aspects create a comprehensive approach to safety, assuring that everyone in the school community feels both protected and empowered. Here are a few things we do to take care of our students. To take care of our, to take care of our students physically and emotionally. We have, sorry, Jim. Usually I hand it to him, I didn't today. We have regularly scheduled drills, which are fire and lockdown that happen, on a regular schedule. We have a procedure for attendance calls. There's an expectation that parents call us when kids are not in school, and if they don't, we call them. This is for safety of the students. We have entrance and dismissal procedures. We have a use of cameras. We have mandatory reporting procedures that staff is trained on at the beginning of each year. Next page, we have partnerships with local law enforcement, which include things like cultivating those partnerships. So with things like ride-alongs, they're invited in during career days. We work with Avondale, we work with the City of Phoenix because of the way that our borders go, and sometimes the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. We quite often offer them space. You might see police cars in our parking lot sometimes because we encourage them to sit there and do their work if they want it. We have some principals who have shared that they've offered desk space, although we don't usually get taken up on that. We welcome them in and try to entice them with maybe a lunch with the students. And new this year, Quinton Sharks received a grant, and they have an SSO, an officer from the city of Avondale a different officer who shows up daily to support cultivating the relationships with students and helping with security measures there. We have emergency preparedness plans, which help get us ready in crisis. Safety committees review these plans annually, and each year some tweaks are made and reviewed by officers. You may remember that we did quite a bit of work with Officer Long, who has walked many of our campuses, sat down with the administrative team, looked at the plans, made suggestions, and sometimes they result in changes, like sometimes super simple things like here, we close one gate so that there's only one way in and out, and they really assess and look at because each campus is so very different, and we get suggestions from the local police officers. Of course, we work on substance abuse awareness. We are piloting vape detectors in 2 of our schools. Health offices in themselves, I was so excited to hear the kids at Hope tonight, and I did not know that she said our nurses go above and beyond. They play a key role in the health and safety of our students. And we work to combat food insecurity as well. We don't want our kids to be in school with rumbling tummies. So we do have breakfast in the classroom, and we offer nutrition classes. This year, we had a Play, Grow, and Learn class, which was a nutrition class right here at the Welcome Center. And the families that participated each received a crock pot, a salad spinner, and a cookbook upon completion of the class. So I was super proud to report that. One of the benefits on this next slide is of the uniforms is they allow us to identify our students, and equally important, uniforms allow us to identify kids who don't belong on our campuses. Badges, both kids and adults. Adults wearing badges allow us to identify the big people who should be on site, and student badges allow students to move efficiently through lunch lines and libraries, and most importantly, they play a critical role in tracking students as they enter and exit buses, and that works in conjunction with the next bullet there, the Zonar software that the Transportation Department can monitor as in real time as students are getting off and on buses. Cybersecurity in school helps keep students safe by protecting their, and I just want to talk about cybersecurity a little bit more because it's something we don't often talk about. It helps keep students safe by protecting their personal information, securing online learning environments, and monitoring for cyberbullying. There are a lot of layers of cybersecurity in place, and we want the Littleton community to know that we're committed to supporting responsible use of technology resources, whether students are in our classroom or using our devices outside of the school. We have tools that monitor students' computers and for a lot of things, but I think most interesting for this particular presentation, it will indicate if students indicate self-harm, bullying, or violence. Administrators are notified so that they can take appropriate action, which sometimes includes intervention. And it's not something that I think is real well known throughout the community, so I wanted to bring it to your attention tonight. Next up, communication tools. You know, we use a whole bunch of different tools to keep our stakeholders informed, and we have worked really hard for many years as we've grown the communications department to build transparency, say something, it's very, it's a balance between saying enough so that we're being transparent, but putting out false information. So we really have worked hard over the last few years on that. We have volunteer screening processes in place. We have student behavior expectations in place. We have intake meetings with our families if students are being challenged. Schools write numerous success plans and safety plans for individual students as necessary. We have a threat assessment process. We have ways to connect members in our community to resources that are beyond what the school could do. So when we need to do things beyond what we can do, we have ways to connect them. Didn't say that very smoothly, but you know what I mean. We also provide support for homeless and migrant families. Next slide. And as you heard earlier this year, you heard from our social workers. They came up and did a presentation about how they tirelessly work to support kids, and they, along with the parent liaison, support with all the things you see on this slide, overcoming barriers to attendance and support all these programs that you see on this slide. From that presentation, you also may remember that there's posters and information cards that can be found around campus. And you may recall when you heard from the social workers that our middle school students have small information cards that they place in their badges with this information on that was vetted by various groups so that kids have access to those resources 24/7. And trying to figure out how I was going to end this, like how are we doing? Just prior to winter break, we sent out a mid-year survey to all employees. And the safety questions on the slide right on the top, and we're looking for agreement or disagreement with the district shows concern for safety of students, staff, and community. We had a 92% agreement. So this would indicate that the district demonstrates concern for the safety of students, staff, and community, and that it's paying off. Overall, the results are reflective that there's a positive perception of the district's dedication to maintaining a secure environment. Any questions?
Curtis?
Yes, I think you answered one of my questions here. I was concerned about partnership with law enforcement, particularly because part of our schools on the far side of Phoenix, and I don't know that the police get out there that often. As long as, I just want to make sure we're getting local support both from Phoenix and from Avondale. And I think
Correct.
you reassured me of that. The other one, emergency preparedness, that in my mind is something that we're all wanting to work at. And I know we don't have a distinct, this is what it's all about, but as these other things come on, we can prepare ourselves. I don't know if there's any other comments on what that
There's a
particularly
pretty
entails.
comprehensive plan vetted each year. Of course, it's not public by design, right? And so that's why it's not in your face, but there's teams and roles and what would we do if this happened, if then things that's vetted each year. We've done tabletop exercises. The administrators have been in with local law enforcement invited in to look at our plans and run some scenarios with us.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you, Sue. For the SSO on Quinton, when did we start that? Because that's my first time hearing this.
So we received the grant in January, so it's brand new. And how it works is police officers are able, it's kind of like a pickup substitute job. Avondale police officers are able to pick up the job and show up, and what Principal Chicas and her staff has done is designated a space and a protocol where they come in and they get their keys and they get their fobs and they have their space to work. And so it's not necessarily the same officer every day, but different officers pick up the job and show up. And the reason why she's having success with it, we're told, is it's a highly coveted position for an SSO because it's an elementary school and it's kind of like OT for them. Is that how it works? It's brand new.
Okay. So this is kind of something that just popped into my head as you were presenting. So I have not fully thought this out, but here's my question. For the student resource cards and posters, I loved the little cards that were presented to us. So my question is it possible to maybe get some of this printed on the back of the student's ID so it doesn't have to be in a card in their ID, but it could just be printed on the back? Just a thought. I'm not expecting an answer, just a thought.
Yeah, we will definitely look into that. Mm-hmm. Sure.
All right. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to item number 12, Desert Drug Dog. Dr. Smith.
Thank you, President Soshnick, Governing Board. At the June meeting, the Governing Board tabled a discussion about using desert drug dogs on our campuses. Tonight, we bring to you information about the program to assist as you discuss the future of this partnership. And I'm going to ask Ms. Garrison to get us started.
Thank you, Madam President, Governing Board. The use of dogs in our school provides a proactive approach to keeping drugs off of our campus. As you just heard in the last item, we utilize many tools in our quest to keep kids safe. But a bit about the dogs. These highly trained canines can detect illegal substances with precision, acting as both a deterrent and an early intervention tool. Their presence helps reinforce the district's commitment to student safety and well-being, while also fostering a culture of accountability. Additionally, the use of non-invasive searches by drug detection dogs minimizes disruption to the school day while effectively identifying potential risks. By partnering with Desert Drug Dogs, schools take a preventative stance against drug-related issues, creating a healthier and more secure atmosphere for students and staff. To help you better understand the process and make an informed decision, Miss Dana Thielander and the operations manager and McKaylee Adkins, lead handler, are here tonight to tell us more about the program and perhaps answer your questions. Ladies.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. All right. Good evening, Madam President, Governing Board, Dr. Smith, and Executive Team. Thank you for having us. I am Dana Thielander, and I'm the operations manager. Oh, all right. I gotta shrink. I'm the operations manager for Desert Drug Dog. This is McKaylee Atkins, and she is our lead handler. Before I tell you about the company, I just wanted to take a moment to tell you a little bit about me and why I'm here. It's no secret that I'm a huge dog lover. but I also love to help people. So when I started working with detection dogs about 12 years ago, I realized that it was a great way to be able to do both. I wanted to make a difference with those struggling with addiction. I wanted to help them get better by using the dog in a way that gives them another layer of accountability to make good choices. I've noticed lately, though, that we conduct approximately 100 sweeps a month at addiction treatment centers. Many times as we are leaving, the patients are thanking us for being there. This warms my heart knowing that we're able to help them. I've noticed lately, though, that I see the same patients bouncing from treatment center to treatment center because they just can't stay sober. Addiction is really tough, and it's a hard thing to kick. And especially now with fentanyl being laced into everything, it's becoming even harder. And I strongly believe that we need to make that change in their lives much earlier in their life. So if we can get dogs into schools, we have the opportunity to stop that cycle before it starts. Drug use is progressive, so it can help interrupt drug use at a younger age before it's done so much damage to their physical brain and mental health, and create an opportunity for the student to get counseling, and they would have a better chance to get back on track and live healthier lives. Deterrence is way easier than detox. So who is Desert Drug Dog? Desert Drug Dog is a private sector detection company established in 2009. We provide certified detection dogs for sweeps of schools, treatment centers, private homes, and businesses. We have approximately 9 employees and 12 dogs. We hire passionate and dedicated people that want to help their community stay safe and that are motivated to keep their dogs trained to be the best that they can be. Last October, 3 of our teams competed in the canine trials in Vegas, and we took home a 2nd and 3rd place, along with the top narcotics detection team award. There's our awards. We want dogs that are effective and accurate for your schools, which means we need to use breeds that have a lot of energy and love to work. I'm sure you've all heard of those students that just can't sit still, and you need to give them tasks to accomplish so that they have an outlet. That's our dogs too. So to do this, they need to be able to sweep the 20th classroom that we go to just as accurately as the first classroom. So they need a lot of energy to do that. To accomplish this, we use a variety of working breeds, like shepherds, Mals, Labs, and even Cocker Spaniels. And though our dogs are friendly, we do not allow them to be pet while they are working so that they can stay focused on the task at hand. Desert Drug Dog is not law enforcement. Though we do often train with law enforcement to keep up on the latest trends, and in fact, with our partnership with Littleton, we've often coordinated trainings with the local law enforcement to come in and train while we train, and this helps not only them, but your district and us as well. It helps us be able to train in our working environments. It keeps our dogs sharper, and it also keeps the officers and the deputies familiar with the layouts of your schools in case there's ever a response needed. I would like to show a recent news story aired about Desert Drug Dogs on school campuses. It will help provide a visual for our dogs while they're working.
We see signs like these on school campuses across the state, but not all students follow the rules, which is why more and more school districts are calling out the dogs to keep kids safe.
This is us trying to be as proactive as possible.
Let's check the bathroom. We would like to see dogs in a lot of schools.
There we are, clear, Patty.
They march down hallways, sniff through locker rooms, weave their way around the student parking lot. Several highly trained canines stopped by Mountain Ridge High School in Glendale Tuesday to make sure this campus is drug-free.
100%. It's about keeping the campus safe and keeping our students safe. We don't want anybody using something that could potentially harm themselves or potentially harm somebody else.
Show me.
The canines are part of a team called the Desert Drug Dogs that visit Valley schools looking for drugs or guns. The dogs are trained to find signs of marijuana, fentanyl, cocaine, heroin, and meth.
The dogs are looking for drug odor, so they don't necessarily find
the drug product itself, but they find the odor of the drug.
All of the searches take place when students aren't around. But if there is a possible hit on a vehicle, students will be called out of class immediately and have their cars searched.
Do you know if anybody recently has been in your vehicle that had something on them that maybe they shouldn't have?
Assistant Principal Tony Miller does the follow-up, talking to students looking through cars.
Can we see a vape? Can we see anything illegal in there that they just shouldn't have? It could be a weapon.
Miller tells us they can legally search anything on campus as long as they have reasonable suspicion.
All right, young lady, you got nothing to worry about. You're good?
All 3 of the cars searched in the student parking lot turned up clean with no contraband, and there was nothing illegal found anywhere else on campus.
That's telling me that our students are making good decisions. That's always a very rewarding feeling when you know that they're not engaging in activities to harm themselves or potentially others.
School officials do not let students know when the drug dogs are coming, but they are told the dogs will show up at a random time during the semester, which has proven to be an added incentive to not bring anything illegal to school.
If they don't know when we're coming, and if we can show up multiple times, at any point, at any time of the day, then obviously that increases the deterrence.
Right now, the Desert Drug Dogs work with about a dozen schools across the valley, but considering how successful the program has been, it may be just a matter of time before more of these dogs are on more campuses in the future. In the West Valley, Jason Berry for Arizona's Family.
I'd like to make a note that though there weren't any drugs found on that day in those cars, they did find a large knife, and his conversations with the students did allow him for him to learn that their friend that rode with them to school that day did have drugs on them as well. So these kinds of conversations are good for the school admin to have, as it opens a line of communication about the friendships that the students are choosing and how the choices that their friends make can sometimes affect their life as well. So what do the dogs sniff for? First, as was mentioned in the video, our dogs find odors. So everything in the world has an odor to the dog. And even if there was something that was there but isn't there anymore, it will often leave a lingering odor or a residual odor that we can't see but the dogs can smell. So if you think of someone that smokes cigarettes and on their way here, they were smoking in their car, they get out of the car, they put their cigarette out, but they come in and sit next to you, you can still smell that they were a cigarette smoker, right? So the dogs do the same thing, but in a much smaller scale, and they can sense a lot lower odors. So dogs can do that. Their scent abilities are 1 part to trillion, which is the equivalent of being able to smell 1 drop of odor. You can equivalent that to like 1 drop of lavender oil in 20 Olympic-size swimming pools amount of water. Okay, I don't even think I could smell that 1 drop in a kiddie pool, but they can smell it. Our narcotic detection dogs are trained on the odors of cocaine, heroin, methamphetamines, fentanyl, and marijuana. That includes all the derivatives of THC like wax, vapes, gummies, bud, etc. Finding the source of the odor involves a hand search, which is left for the school staff to do. So what does a sweep look like? Our teams arrive on campus in plain vehicles. Our handlers wear plain clothes that may include cargo pants and t-shirts with a logo on it, very much like what we were wearing today. We check in at the front desk, then we go get the dogs. We enter the building accompanied by your staff. Our sweeps are performed on leash and in a quiet and controlled manner so we can limit the disruption of their learning day as much as possible. The students are temporarily removed from the classroom, and the dogs sweep the classroom and their belongings. On average, our dogs can sweep a classroom in approximately 6 minutes. Our dogs do not interact with or sniff the students. We can also be present at school drop-off and sporting or special events like dances as a visual presence, and with periodic checks of bathrooms and common spaces to provide a deterrence from contraband even being brought onto the property to begin with. Think of the dogs as an additional staff member, but they have a wet nose, a wagging tail, and you can call them cute all you want. During our sweeps, any property or areas our dogs identify as having a target odor are relayed to school staff members, who then follow their policies and procedures to conduct any hand searching and address any concerns with the students involved. Our teams are not involved in those steps. Once our sweep is complete, we say our goodbyes, and we return the dogs to their vehicles. Our goal is to keep the students out of the legal system as much as possible and to get them any counseling that they might need that could teach them to live and maintain a healthier lifestyle. So why would a school use a dog on their campus? We always say it's for safety, but let's be blunt. The number one reason is we want to save lives. Whether that means saving the life of the student that might mistakenly take a fentanyl-laced pill today, or the student that might be headed down the unfortunate path of addiction for the rest of their life. The dogs can be one more layer in the safety plan that saves their lives. According to Arizona Department of Education, they reported last month that in Arizona, within the past 3 years, overdoses rose to the third leading cause of death in youth under age 18. National studies have identified Maricopa County as having the second highest overall death rate among youth in the entire country. That is not a statistic we want to be recognized for. But unfortunately, that means that possession of drugs on campus is on the rise. Fentanyl is showing up as fake Adderall, Percocet, and Xanax, and there is no way to visually tell the difference between the counterfeit ones and the real ones. In 2024, statistics showed that 7 out of 10 counterfeit pills contain a lethal dose of fentanyl. They are also now finding marijuana laced with fentanyl as well. We had a school last fall that reached out to us because they had a student nearly die from smoking marijuana that was laced with fentanyl. Fortunately, they did survive, and they are now in an addiction treatment program. Detection dogs are another tool that you can add to the toolbox in your safety plan. They are a huge deterrent to students bringing contraband to school. If the student knows that the dog can randomly show up and their chances of getting caught are greatly increased, they will be less likely to bring it here. Detection dogs save time and money because in a short amount of time, a dog is able to narrow down the search from several classrooms full of belongings to just a few possible items. And it would take hours for humans to hand search that same space that a dog can sweep in minutes. So it's safe to say that everyone in this room is here for the same reason. We are here because we care about the students and our future. The students are the future of our communities and this world. We all want to do the best that we can with the money that's available to provide them an environment that they can learn and succeed. The dogs are one more tool for your tool belt in that goal. When I read through your students' responses to having dogs on campus and how grateful they were for us to be here, it made me feel like they really appreciated it, and that is very touching to me, as you can tell, sorry. But it helped affirm that we're doing positive things and we're doing it for the right reasons. We recognize that not everyone is comfortable around dogs. It is important to us to make them as comfortable as possible and still get our job done. So this is why our dogs are always on leash, under handler control, and we minimize the contact with the students as much as possible. Our handlers are also trained to be aware of their surroundings and given space if they recognize someone needs it. We aren't there to intimidate the students, but we are there to help make a point. And that point we're trying to make is that their school cares about their safety and their health and their overall well-being, and the school cares about keeping drugs off campus. So thank you for your time and consideration in returning our teams to your schools. And if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
What is the cost for this program?
So we will work to stay within your budget, whatever you guys can afford to do. Okay. So if we, sometimes 2 teams, $300 a visit type thing, but if we need to split that and do 1 team for drop-offs, or if we need to do, different things to kind of make it work better, we will work with whatever we need to do to make it fit in your budget. It's important to us.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I had a question.
Yes.
They talked about guns.
Mhm.
Is that something your dogs can?
We do have firearm detection dogs as well. They are currently not combined, so we have firearm detection and we have narcotic detection, but we do have those as well, yes.
Okay,
It's usually more common in the high school level, so I didn't mention it here, but.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. How many elementary schools do you guys currently conduct searches in?
I think we're at about 8. I'd have to look at the actual counts, but around 8, I'd say.
Okay. Or is it, which districts are those in?
I don't have them off the top of my head.
Off the top of your head?
Yeah.
Okay. And then do you guys primarily, because I know the video you showed that's with Dysart, I think it's with Dysart? Is that
That's
Dysart?
with Deer Valley High School.
Deer Valley,
Yep.
and those are only high schools, just for.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And I don't know if I heard, maybe you said it, how frequently to do that? Do you bring the dogs here? Is that something that's determined?
It's completely up to the districts and the schools themselves. We can, we can do weekly, we can do quarterly, we can do semester, whatever works out for them, their budget and everything else. And if we've got some schools that are, they're seeing more concern at, we can hit them more frequently than the others as well.
And I know from the side of Avondale, they've had a number of presentations and invited the public to come and talk, receive information on fentanyl, both in English and Spanish, as well as other things. And I participated in a couple of those, and just to hear the stories of and I'm going to get like you, emotional.
Yeah.
With the children that have been lost, the parents were there testifying as to what they've tried to do and the loss of the kids. And I even remember there was a senior in high school that talked about her boyfriends, how they had been incorporated or somehow got a hold of fentanyl, and that they just became different people whatsoever. She couldn't even associate with them. And even after school, they lost the opportunity to get whatever drugs they had, and most of them ended up taking their life. And she was really emotional in that. So
yes,
thank you
it
for
is
your
a horrible
presentation.
thing.
It is a big thing, and with safety, we need to look at that all.
Yes.
So I don't really have a question. Unlike you, I have very strong emotions, but maybe the opposite. When I saw this on our agenda, I was very troubled, and for that reason, I do want to say this item was brought before us before, and this same board had denied it. So I'm a little troubled that it came anytime, especially Black History Month. So my thoughts are this, and this is the thoughts of our public. The offer to run drug dogs through our schools and classrooms is blatantly racially driven, and is a painful reminder of our students what their grandparents and perhaps even their parents experienced during the 60s and 70s. I have worked in behavioral health field for about 20 years. There is nothing, not one thing that's therapeutic about having drug dogs searching a kindergartner's bluey book bag. I did do a little research and asked some board members in more affluent areas if they had drug dogs running through their elementary schools or even received this offer, and I received an astounding no. Our community is plagued by generational trauma due to ongoing racial tensions. Many of our students even now face the uncertainty of tomorrow and what it might bring, not knowing if when they come home, the same parents and same family members will still be here. Ruby Bridges, who is the first Black child to attend an integrated school, is only 70 years old, so we're not far removed from segregation. My mother attended schools and communities that were policed by dogs and grew up in a day and time where the dogs were sicked on persons of color at will. And I myself had been attacked by a dog when I was just walking past the gate at 9 years old. To this day, I'm still fearful of German Shepherds. Now that said, I didn't want to base my view of this item simply on emotion, so I dug a little deeper, and I found an essay written by a student whose district used drug dogs. This rising senior at South Pasadena High School wrote, quote, "Our days are welcome to interference as the classes, filled disproportionately with Latino and Black students, are taken outside to let officers and their four-legged partners search and sniff for something that isn't there. Even going as far as opening parts of our book bags that were previously left unopened. A thin line of trust casually overstepped routinely every few months. Not only is the efficacy," that's end quote, "but not only the efficacy of drug dogs is under fierce debate, there are many false positives, a very high rate. And the presence of these detention dogs in schools is also not found to lower any incidence of students using illicit drugs. However, education, prevention, and social emotional support services do affect our students' drug usage, not drug dogs. Our students do not need policing. Our schools are primarily filled with the descendants of immigrants and slaves, and they do not need to experience the perpetuation of this familiar cycle. We need to figure out how to fund our music programs, how to ensure the schools get social emotional support, and our social workers and therapists are in every school, and that those resources that are needed to support our schools are given to them. Most importantly, we need to figure out how to hire and maintain our teachers, as it is them and their success that most directly impacts that of our students. This board is diverse, but we are unified in this matter. Desert dogs are not welcome in our school, but maybe go to Scottsdale.
I have a question to ask you, Ms. Garrison. I haven't worked in this district in about 3 years, but if I remember correctly, did we not just have the dogs come to the middle school level, right? Just like what, 6th through 8 or 7th and 8th grade?
6th, 7th, and 8th.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think we ever were in the elementary school level. Okay, thank you.
On a personal level, my younger brother did die of fentanyl overdose. Him receiving a dog going through his school, it wouldn't have made any impact. Having social emotional supports available, drug education and programs like that, that would have maybe saved my brother's life. I have no doubt that the absence of a dog had anything to do with him passing away from an overdose on drugs.
I'll speak to this. I spoke to it last year. I lived through this program. The district started it when I was a middle school student at Fine Arts. And I remember talking to my friends about it this past couple weekend because I saw it was coming back on the agenda. And we were all in agreement. You know, it made us feel like we live in a community where our district leaders don't think we can be very, very well-versed, trusted students. And when we have programs like this, which are not commonly practiced, as you stated, in elementary school districts, anywhere else in the county that I know of, that does not something that I'm willing to support, because it's nothing against what you guys do. I'm not against the work that you do, but when it comes to a community I represent, which is 80% people of color, I don't think programs like this are another tool to criminalize and further put people of color in prison. And I agree that we do need to have programs and preventative programs that prevent kids from accessing drugs. But this is not the answer. I mean, I remember asking last year, how many incidents of the drug dogs actually had incidents where they actually caught things. And the administration couldn't answer to me how many incidents we had where they caught items on our campuses. And I'll read back one of the quotes from one of our own students. I feel that it's kind of boring. Like at my school, we have to stand outside in the sun and it's hot usually. By the time that the dogs visit, not to mention, we can't get any work done because of the fact that we have to stand outside and it takes half an hour in the morning. So it's like a mix of cold and heat at the same time. It kind of wastes time because almost nothing comes up. I think that we could, at least at very best, move to the art room mixed with the library. We can fit a bunch of kids in there. Not to mention, we could get a ton more of work done so we can keep up with our studies instead of missing out on our chance to learn more, unquote. And so this is a very emotional subject for me, but it comes to somebody who's lived through it. I don't want my little brother and sister who are about to be in middle school to live through it too. So I'm not supportive of this item.
As a parent and a former educator in this district, I empathize with what you're saying. Out of 23 comments, there is that one that felt it was kind of boring. As a parent of a child who went through this district from K through 8, she honestly, when I asked her about it and her friends, she just said, to them it was like an extra recess. I understand both sides where for some, I guess maybe it could be boring. Having more social and emotional for some is going to work, but I feel for some it's not going to. And if we can save one life with this, then I think it's worth it. Today is not the way it was even 5 years ago. Every day there is something new coming out and these kids just don't know. And there's so much pressure on them to be the best, to be the brightest, to fit in. And we can talk to them until we are blue in the face about how they need to be their own person, but kids are scared and they just want to fit in. And all of these people, these kids, they feel that they're not intimidating. The drug dogs, I don't really see them around our campus very much, but I think they would be very helpful to our school. When the drug dogs come to our campus, they ensure that there are no students in the class because you never know if they are scared of dogs or not. Ms. Barnett, I understand about German Shepherds. I was attacked by a Doberman. To this day, I'm scared to death of them. I am scared to death. I do not run, but I would if I saw one. So I get that. I remember being in the school when they would come. We took the kids outside before the kids were ever saw the dogs. When it was brought up before and you talked about having more programs at school, I agree with that. I think we should have more programs. But I also agree that we should have another deterrent for them. You know, maybe if they know they're coming, they won't bring anything to school. Their kids younger and younger are bringing these drugs that they don't know what they are to school. They're getting them from their older brother and their older sister. And they're bringing them to school thinking, you know, saying, look, my brother wants me to bring this piece of candy and, you know, pass them out to kids. So I am in favor of it.
I'd just say as part of the safety program, this is just another tool. I mean, if you really let everybody see what the emergency preparedness might be, you know, that might scare the daylights out of different people. I think it's a tool. I think it should be used on occasion, not every day, not every month, whatever it might be. But I would agree with Mrs. Stallard that it's a tool. We need the opportunity to use it. If we use it, we fine, and if we don't use it, we don't use it.
I'm all for trying something new, but I think that the data doesn't show that it's beneficial. So let's say, hypothetically, we have a 8th grader who's a crackhead. He's on drugs. He's bad off. Having a drug dog is not going to make him stop doing drugs. You see what I'm saying? There's no data. There's no data anywhere that would say, you know what, I was about to shoot up, but I thought today might be the day. There might be a drug dog coming to sniff. That's not going to have anything that have any impact. What is quantitative data is that when we have these programs in place that assist students and show them, you know, what it could happen to them and just things that are actually quantitative that show like actually results, I think that we should invest in those type of programs because these things actually show that they can help. This data shows that, in fact, there is no correlation whatsoever, 0% of having desert dogs or having these dogs that sniff drugs causing students to say, you know what, that changed my life. I feel like even if, and I appreciate that you would give us a discount or a good rate, but even if it was $1, that's $1 that we could spend on programs that are actually beneficial. There was a mother here last year and she spoke about her daughter and us not being able to fund a music program, and she was very passionate. She spoke about how she wants her daughter to have that and how it benefited her and how her daughter had been bullied and how music was her area. Like that's what she loved and that's what she could do. And we've had to make these cutbacks, which is absolutely heartbreaking. But there is even data that shows that having music programs lessens children's drug usage. Having programs that, like Amy has a little girl, she participates in drama. That's a great outlet, and that deters her from being able to do drugs because she has something that she can pour into. That's something for her. I think we should use any money we have, whether it's limited resources as they can be, into stuff that we know works.
Okay. I appreciate the conversation. Dr. Smith has been so quiet and tried to talk like 2 or 3 times, so I wanted just to let him talk, and then we can continue.
Oh, first of all, if we're done with our 2 presenters, can we excuse them back to the audience? Is that okay? Thank you. I think they might be.
Thank you so much.
You're on the hot seat up here. Just 2 points of, the item was tabled before, so we're not bringing it back after it was voted down or anything like that. It was tabled, so it was open, so we got to bring it back for discussion. And then there was also a question of how much money. There was about a little over $7,000 was spent last year on these sweeps.
Thank you. And then so I think, you know, in our wellness presentation, we focus so much on safety and I think I was more interested in see like what programs have we developed, because I know in that tabling motion, we did ask the administration to bring forward programs that they would create in terms of preventative programs. And have we like thought of an idea that we think of like a student parent drug prevention program? Has that any idea that's been floated around? I think if we're going to spend $7,000 on drugs to come in, and yet we don't have that data that they've caught in anything, why not use that $7,000 to go towards programs like that that are actually meaningful and actually can help in the moment, instead of just creating a culture that is only known in Littleton. Littleton will be known to be the district that's the only elementary school district that will allow canines to come on their campuses and sweep their community.
I can say that that's not true. The elementary school district I previously taught in, we would have drug dogs come on our campus.
Well, that's good to know. According to our presentators, did not know that, so that's good to know.
I know that there is a program that is used in South Phoenix. It's called Permanent Voice. They have a program that they go into the schools over there. I think it's the Washington School District, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's not. I think maybe I'm wrong about that, but it's in the South Mountain area. Roosevelt, thank you, the Roosevelt School District, a Permanent Voice, and they go in and they've been providing support with regard, and that area is much more plagued with those type of issues, and they've shown great, just strides with regards to being able to support the students and the people within that community, and it's $5,000. I think that's what they pay for it, so it's even less money. We should get something like that.
Ms. Garrison.
Hi, I just want to add, there are multiple programs that we tried. We spent over $50,000 with the Cook Center, inviting parents in, a program all last year. We could not get any traction going. So this year we switched to a program with ASU that is free of charge, which is drug education, drug awareness. It's app-based. And they say their research is pretty strong that once you get parents to start, they'll continue. That's what their data is showing. But we're not getting any traction with that. And we have one school piloting Not My Kid for some drug awareness, because we're really looking for, when there's an infraction, more restorative processes, more, not punitive. We don't want, to punish the kids. We want the kids to make better choices. And the bottom line is we really do not want the drugs on our campus. So there are a lot of things happening with purchased programs and research-based programs, so I just wanted you guys to know that those do exist, and we have been trying all kinds of different things. Super frustrating. One of the fears I have, especially when it comes to fentanyl and how scary that can be, is if parents don't know they have the problem, they're not interested in listening until it's too late. That's what I worry about. So, yes, ma'am.
So I don't really know who can answer this question. Oh, I have a few. My first question is, these comments that were collected, when were they collected?
Madam President, Governing Board, those comments were directed during the Superintendent's Youth Council when Ray and Associates came and asked. They had like 8 or 10 questions about the superintendent search, and I just tacked this on just like this. What can you tell me?
Okay. And then my other question is, at the very bottom here, it says, assistant principals and deans have requested we revisit this topic. Do we know, are the assistant principals and deans seeing an increase in something? I understand that it was tabled and it had to come back to us, and I want to give the assistant principals and deans all the support they need. So was there something that instigated them requesting this coming back to us as well?
It was at a recent meeting during the first semester that I was talking to APs and deans, again, open-ended, and they are in support of using this tool, so they asked me to bring it back for discussion. So they're in support of it, along with the social workers, with the quote that I put on there. If they said if it deters even one child from bringing drugs to the campus. So APs and deans and the social workers were the groups that were consulted, are in support, and then you see the children's comments.
I just think it's important to note that also as well that our high school district did unanimously deny this program to be in their schools, at our high schools. So I think just like it's important to keep the back of their mind.
We spent a lot of time talking and a lot of emotions one way or the other. I would like to make a motion that the governing board approve and consider the approval of Desert Doug Drugs as an additional safety and wellness support.
Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Hell no.
Absolutely not.
Okay, motion passes 3-2. Item number 13, adjacent ways project, Mr. French.
I graduated the doctor. Thank you, President Soshnick, members of the governing board, Dr. Smith, and Littleton community. This evening, the district is seeking approval to partner with Taylor Morrison. I believe I saw Richard Lopez in the back. He's here to answer any questions the board may have at the end of the presentation. But we're looking to partner with Taylor Morrison to complete an underground water and road improvements on 111th Avenue south of Miami. There are multiple attachments that I wanted to open to give the board an idea of kind of what we're looking at. But this is on the right-hand side is one of our 3 vacant properties owned by the district, all with the intention of being used as future school sites. You can see this was farming land, so it has a ditch that goes right down the middle with a dirt road down the right and left side. While the district doesn't have immediate plans to develop this parcel, many developers are looking at the surrounding area for residential development. The district has been part of numerous meetings between these developers, the City of Avondale, Maricopa County, and SRP to determine the alignment of 111th Avenue south of what the requirements are on the property owners to bury the ditch you saw. I wanted to bring up this attachment as well. This is a design concept that the district was part of between the City of Avondale, the district architects, as well as the developers. Jim, if you'd scroll up just a little bit, the road that goes left to right is Miami. The proposed road that goes down is 111th Avenue. And we're showing you where it would connect to 111th Avenue North. Now, the only issue that we had when we were talking with the city was north of Miami, we have a historical ditch that we're going to have difficulty moving. So there wasn't an option for us to move the alignment of 111th Avenue. We worked closely with the city as well as the developers to ensure the conceptual design that you see here works with the proposed design of the school as well as the development. Wanted to bring up the first image here of Shadow Ridge. Jim, is there any chance you can make it just a tad bit bigger? Mr. Lopez was able to share this with me, but I wanted to show the board the proposed development by Taylor Morrison for the Shadow Ridge community, which would be directly south and west of the school site. You'll see that empty spot in the upper right-hand corner is kind of where the school would potentially sit. As you can see, this would be a significant development focused on single-family residences, many of which would house potential students for the district. I've also asked Richard Lopez, who is the VP of Forward Planning, to attend this evening's meeting in case the board had any questions I wasn't going to be able to answer. Lastly, I wanted to provide the board with a cost share estimate. So this is work that Taylor Morrison has put together. The shared costs of this project would include soft costs such as design fees, permitting, and inspection, as well as hard costs like roadwork, sidewalks, underground piping. The current estimate on the project cost for Littleton is just under $850,000, all of which is eligible to be paid out of our adjacent ways funding. The district currently has $1.85 million in adjacent ways to be used for projects just like this across the district. This fund can be replenished annually at the board's discretion during the budget adoption process. It is the administration's opinion this fund can be replenished over a number of years, so to avoid spiking any type of tax rates for the community. Items that are not included in this estimate is the project management costs and experience that Richard and his team are providing to help move this project forward. At this point, I'm happy to answer any questions from the board, and I invite Richard to come up and answer anything that you have as well.
I got just a couple of questions. Can you go back to where the alignment is of Miami and 111th there? I guess the one.
Other one, Jim.
Another one with the color on it. Scroll down on that one. There were 4 or 5, I think, on that one there. Nope. On the cost, it's got a number up here as the roadway length is 1,444 linear feet. And on that one right there, you've got 523 feet and 433 feet, which doesn't add up to be that amount. So I'm just trying to find out where we're talking about linear roadways right there and what's involved.
So you're essentially, I'm sorry, you're questioning the dimension from the center line of road there to the southern property line?
I'm trying to find out on the cost estimate right here. It says the linear length of the roadway is 1,445 feet, linear feet. And the numbers that show up right there going south, I am assuming, from there down to wherever the entrance is and further down add up to being 956 feet. I'm trying to find out where the other 500 feet are. Is that from Avondale to 111th? And
Richard, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Member Nielsen, my understanding of that number there is the length between the intersection at 111th Avenue and Miami and the center line of the exit for Littleton Elementary School District, the adjacent, or the ingress-egress. So we had a long conversation with the city of Avondale around how much space we needed before we had driveways. So Jim, if you would scroll down a little bit there, I believe that 523 feet ends just at the middle of the intersection that we lined up between the Entrada development as well as the school left and right turn out of the district or out of the school site.
So the 1,400 is the part of the program. The responsibility for the city or for the school board would be the 900, the 500, and the 400 are just down to the stop sign there.
Yeah, what was measured was the actual property frontage on that west side of the roadway. The other dimension was noted to illustrate the separation from the intersection to that four-point movement that's going to be shared with the district and the Entrada subdivision.
Okay.
Member Nielsen, the total cost of the project is, you're correct, it's going to be approximately 1,440 linear feet from Miami down 111th Avenue. The district only has about 44% of that. So if you see on the cost share estimate, we're only responsible for 44% of our half street. And like I mentioned before, Richard and his team are taking on all the project management, which would be additional costs if we were to do this on our own.
And I guess the other thing I don't know what is, I don't know what a half street is. On the back of it, number 2, the estimate includes only half street improvements for 111th. So is there a half on one side of the ditch and a half on the other side of the ditch? Is that how that?
Essentially, it's calculated from the center line of the roadway. So we would be building the west side of the roadway adjacent to the property frontage.
And is there a ditch down there?
So as an owner, Member Nielsen, whenever we make a development, we did this at Alomar as well, we're responsible for half of that street.
Okay.
And so we did a similar project with Alomar when they developed their development and we built Lakin, is that we were responsible for half of the street that was attached to our property. That includes the sidewalks, that includes everything. And we did a similar project where the project was procured by the developer, and we partnered with them to include our funds so the project can get completed.
I can see that with 2 streets, but I guess I'm confused with the ditch that's in there. Does that technically mean
There will not be 2 streets. We will be burying that ditch, so the water will still be available to anybody south of the district and the development, but it will be a normal street like you would drive down 100 and, yeah.
Thank you. That was I didn't have that clarity. So thank you very much. Appreciate that.
So just for confirmation, if I look at that map, we're paying for the left side of the road.
Yes, Member Cisneros,
And
you're
they're paying
correct.
for the right side of the road.
Entrada would be responsible for their side of the half street, which would be the right side of the road. Taylor Morrison is representing Shadow Ridge, which is south of us, so they would be continuing the improvement south. And so we are only concerned here tonight about the left side of the road. Entrada is in communications with the district as well as Shadow Ridge about doing this simultaneously so we can get the entire road improved so that the developments can continue. I don't think anybody has any interest of driving down a half street to try to get to their home every day.
Thank you.
And then these homes are going in, assuming, because I don't live too far from there, the homes are going in there. I know right now it's about halfway down. They're building up, but they haven't built up to that the north part yet of that parcel where the school will be to the west. Is there any plans to build out that? When will this project be completed?
So essentially, we're in escrow right now with Pulte and Taylor Morrison to purchase Shadow Ridge. Our anticipated close date is October of this year, and we would start construction immediately after we would close on escrow. So essentially, we would have homes started approximately a month after that, or a year, I'm sorry. So probably Q4 of 26. We'd actually have homes in the ground.
And then in terms of the school we have right there, that road will basically sit empty on our side. And then we probably don't have plans to build a school there for the next 10 years probably. So
one of the most important things that we are able to provide the district is we're also providing water service, and we're providing sewer service to the south, which actually goes through Shadow Ridge and exits onto Avondale Boulevard. In addition to the roadway, we'd also be providing dry utility connections for the school district as well.
Yeah. Member Cisneros, if anybody's familiar with the road, 103rd Avenue, I believe, that's right in front of Fine Arts, that's a half street. If you've noticed, that property to the east of us is not developed, so that street is actually not fully built out. And it's a transportation nightmare for us, as well as parents during arrival and dismissal. So really, that's what we're trying to partner on and trying to avoid. I think, if this is something that the district is not willing to participate in, I'm not sure that that development's viable south of us, because, like to Member Sinisteros's point, we don't necessarily have plans to develop this anytime soon, but we do realize the benefit to the district, allowing this development in and getting, capturing the students from families that are going to live there.
I think my only concern is the amount of money coming out of the adjacent budget. I know we're going to vote on electric buses, and we were told that if we were to make a purchases around $500,000, $600,000, that'd be super going into the red. So I'm just concerned about the money and making up that money.
Yep.
So the adjacent funds, that's just a separate budget that we have just on hand. It's not per fiscal year.
Yep, no, Member Sinisteros, that's a great question. That is a cash account that the district is able to have by statute. That is something that we use to pay for ingress, egress improvements on the district property. We paid, like I said, the half streets for the Lake End property, as well as all the fire lanes are adjacent ways eligible. And we routinely pay for paving improvements that are adjacent to our fire lanes and our fire lanes through this fund as well. This fund is managed, in my opinion, very well. It's something that we utilize, and we look far into the future about how we're going to use the funds and need the funds. We do have money in this fund just for situations like this. But unfortunately, these funds aren't able to be commingled or used for pretty much anything other than ingress and egress of school property.
Okay. And then how long would it take us to recover those funds? Have we done those numbers yet?
Member Sinisteros, that's really up to the governing board. We could go, and if you wanted to recover it all next year, we could do that. That's at the discretion of the board. I would recommend we don't do that because that would be a tax increase to our community. But we could have this conversation during the budget adoption process this year and the following year and the year after that, and I could bring this to the board and let them know kind of what our target amount is and what our projects are going forward, so you feel comfortable that we could replenish it prior to us needing another school.
And then are we required, so assuming, another question, thank you, Ryan, are we required by statute to pay for half of the road, or is that just something that can be just decided between the developer and the district?
Member Sinisteros, if and when we go to develop this property, it is a requirement of the city of Avondale that the improvement is made. So we wouldn't be able to just tell them, yeah, we're decided we don't want to do this. Once we develop this property, that would be a requirement of ours, and not knowing when that would be, I'm hesitant to wait because we wouldn't know what the cost would be. With how inflation's happened, our political climate of late, I really just, if we were to wait even a number of years, I have no idea what the cost to the district would be to improve just our portion of the half street.
Okay, can I add the complexity associated with the SRP irrigation ditches? Those are federally protected. We've been working on this since 2022. And essentially, to the doctor's point, we had to realign the whole roadway to preserve that irrigation to the north. We have a special agreement with SRP that if we place a pipe within the existing channel corridor, we can go through a pipe in place scenario where we don't have to do a land swap, which will add another couple years to this whole process. So that's the other underlying issue here, and that's really the time constraint, is really threading the needle with all the SRP and the USA fee title improvements that are protected by the federal government. So all that needs to occur before the road gets built, essentially.
Dr. Smith?
I would just like to add that one of the things I admire about this district is the forward-thinking planning that's gone on. And this is another example. To have the money in the adjacent ways, to be able to use it, to have a good project where you have a partner that really is looking to whether they're going to build on that property. They could pick other properties, but being with a willing partner of a district to maximize that road, it's good for our citizens. It's a good problem to have. Other districts that are closing schools and having to do things like that, it's a lot harder decision than something like this as far as looking ahead and being prepared for the future. So I'd just like to make that point, please.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
I'll go ahead and make the motion to move the governing board approve the adjacent ways project on 111th Avenue in Miami.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
I just won't vote. I feel like I don't know. So I'll just abstain.
Abstain? Okay.
I'll abstain.
All right. Motion passes 3 to 2 abstains. All right, moving on to number 14, boundaries and bell schedule. Mr. French.
Thank you, Madam President. You're going to be hearing a lot from me tonight. I apologize. Hang with me. Madam President, members of the governing board, Dr. Smith, Littleton community, we did want to bring forward an annual review of our transportation boundaries and our bell schedule. Transportation does this on an annual basis, and they review bus routes, ridership, as well as student enrollment projections to determine if the current transportation boundaries and bell schedule would allow for consistent on-time buses. Just as a reminder to the governing board, we have 2 current transportation boundaries in place. To the area north of Van Buren, we do not transport to Country Place or Tres Rios. And areas south of the proposed State Route 30, transportation is not provided to Collier or Freeman Fine Arts Academy. So that's just a history lesson, I guess, of current transportation restrictions that the district has. We did review bus route times and ridership. The district also is proposing this evening that we restrict transportation north of MC 85, Buckeye Road, to Lake and Prep Academy. The current route that services Lake and Prep and travels north of MC 85 increases route time by approximately 25 minutes. And we have a challenge to get our bus to the second school on time because of that route. Transportation estimates that this would affect approximately 11 students. Once and if approved, the transportation department would contact these families, and they can either elect to transport their students to and from Lakin, or they can choose another academy during school choice, which is coming up next month, the end of this month. The district is also recommending extending the current 55-minute between bell schedules to 75 minutes. This would continue the 2 bell schedule and the district adopted in FY24. The 2 schedules are proposed to be Country Place, Lakin, Littleton, and Trace, all starting at 7:30, with Collier, Estrella Vista, Freeman Fine Arts, and Quinton starting at 8:45. These changes would allow for efficiencies in transportation model with the anticipated enrollment and ridership growth for next school year. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
I'm sure the conversation's been had, but what would this do to our athletics and games?
President Soshniks, I'm glad you asked the question. We have addressed this with the PD committee as well as our athletics department. They are building schedules and models to help accommodate this. I think if you remember when we had a 3-bell schedule, we had roughly the same gap between our first and our third bell, and we were able to accommodate sports there as well. I think we had a differential in our sports stipends for early and late schools because we wanted to ensure that the early schools that had to wait for the late schools to get out were compensated fairly. I think we're also having discussions about intramural type system where early schools play early schools, late schools play late schools, and then we play for a playoff, essentially. Does that answer your question? Yes. Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. I believe this is an action item. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that the governing board approve the additional transportation boundaries for Lincoln Prep Academy and move the second school start time to 8:45.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Item number 15, instructional calendars for 25-26 and 26-27. Mr. French.
Madam President, thank you. Members of the governing board, Dr. Smith, Littleton community. At this time, I would like to bring Rabia Musil up to the podium to help explain to the board instructional calendars for next year and FY 26-27.
Tonight, I come to present the 25-26, the 26-27 instructional calendars. There are no changes to the 25-26 calendar. So as you remember, we bring that a year in advance, and then we bring it back just in case that we need to make changes. As a reminder, it does have the same start time on Monday for the students with 3 early release days to help our youngest students transition back to school. The teachers really have shared their feedback with that, really helps get the year started, gets the, it makes a smooth transition for our K-3 kids especially. Our calendar aligns with Tolleson Union School District so that we have the same spring break and the same fall break, as well as the same winter recess. The last day for students is a Thursday before Memorial Day, which allows us also to have the last day for our staff, teachers, certified teachers, and 10 and 11 month before Memorial Day. Looking at the 26-27 school year, based on the holidays, we were able to move our start back to a Wednesday start for students. Again, we have those 3 early release days to help your learners, youngest learners, transition back into school. Our spring break is aligned, and our fall break is aligned with Tolleson Union. We also have a spring recess in March every year. What we've done with this one, based on feedback from the LEAP committee and the teachers survey that was given by our LEAP members, is we've moved that spring recess. It's usually a 4-day weekend. It's a 3-day weekend in March because it falls literally the week after spring break. So Tolleson Union shifted their spring break from the 2nd week in March to the 3rd week in March for the 26-27 school year. So we've aligned to help our families. But then the spring recess then would only be the Friday and the Monday after that. So our teachers overwhelmingly supported having just that Monday off and then having a testing recess in April that's a 4-day weekend. Our last day for students is a Thursday again, and it allows our staff to be done on Friday. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
No questions, but just a comment. I know Tolleson Union gives their employees voting day off. Have we? I know I brought it up last year. Did that ever come up or
So that was
possibility?
talked about at the LEAP committee. We do look at the Tolleson Union calendar, and in order to make the calendar work the way we have it with the breaks that we have, it was not voted to have that as a holiday or a day off.
Is there a motion? Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right. Back to the man of the hour, employee benefits, Mr. French.
Thank you, President Soshnick, members of the governing board, Dr. Smith, and Littleton community. I promise this is my last item. But this evening, we're looking at a draft, and Jim, if you want to pull that up for me. But we'll be looking at a draft of the FY 25-26 employee benefit rates. The management team has consulted with Valley Schools over the last couple of weeks to determine the best course of action for Littleton and the rates for major medical as well as ancillary benefits. Just as some background for the board, the K-12 education sector has seen a 7.1% increase in major medical and a 10.3% increase in pharmacy per year over the last couple of years. Conversely, Littleton has had very good experience over the last reporting period. Valley Schools and the management team are not recommending any increases to rates for medical coverage for the upcoming fiscal year. The beauty about this is that any money that we are able to provide staff in raises do not have to go back into benefits, so we're very excited to be able to present this to the governing board this evening. If we look at the attached rate sheet, the district is showing a contribution to the high deductible, high premium or plan of $6,360 while maintaining the $300 contribution to a health savings account. This plan would remain a free option for employees that are only insuring themselves. This would be a 0% increase to the annual contribution. There was an adjustment to the individual and family deductible from $3,200 and $6,400 to $3,300 and $6,600, respectively, to align with this year's ACA requirements. Administration also kept the traditional plan employer contribution to $6,660 to match the high deductible, high premium plan. Both plans will see the same out-of-pocket maximums as last year. The district was also able to maintain the rates of all ancillary benefits as well. This includes the 2 dental plans offered and the vision plan. As a reminder to the board, the district contributes $10.36 per month to either of the 2 dental plans, whichever the employee picks. And the employee is able to purchase vision as a voluntary benefit. I'm happy to answer any questions the board has.
I think the only question I had was what was the increase, and I think you took care of that. There is no increase.
Yep.
Thank you.
I just want to say it's impressive that we don't have an increase. I'm really happy to see that we don't. And that any extra money we have can go straight to salaries instead of benefits. So is there a motion?
I motion that the board approve the employee medical, dental, and ancillary benefits for the fiscal year 2025-2026.
Is there a second? Curtis, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Moving on to item number 17, program and resource calendar planning. Dr. Smith?
Thank you, President Soshnick and members of the board. My understanding is at this time of year, we bring the list of essential items that will be on board meetings for the rest of the, through the end of this year, or certainly through the end of my tenure, through the end of June. And so I've asked the leadership team to put together the traditional list of topics that will be brought up. This is not an all-inclusive list of topics, but this is what we tentatively plan on bringing forward over the next semester.
This is a discussion item. Is there any questions or discussion about it?
So just for clarification, this is basically like an overview of what will be on the agendas, upcoming agendas for the rest of the year.
Essential items.
Essential.
That are traditionally salary, wage placements, things like that are.
There can be other things added. I know I still have the list of things that board members have reached out to say that they wanted to discuss this year. So things can be added.
Yes.
Okay. So this isn't an action item. Moving on to number 18. Anyone have any future agenda items they'd like? Marcus?
Not a really agenda item, but just more of a question of a follow-up I'd like. At last year's governing board meeting during the handbook review, we as a board at the time agreed that any school appropriate sweaters would be okay to wear. And it was a made announcement at my kid's school, my little brother and sister's school, that they are not allowed to wear any color, any jackets, unless it's like, I think, back to the 4 original colors that was pre-approved the year before that. So I just wanted to know if there was a clarification on that.
I know at my kids' school, they are allowed to wear any solid colored jacket of any color.
I know at my grandkids' school, it can be any color, it just cannot have a logo on it.
And I'd like to add to that, at our PAC meeting with our parent groups, they praised the change to allow the sweat, what you're describing. The parents seemed quite happy with that change.
And it was updated in the handbook
Okay.
with the change.
Just, they can wear any color solid, as long as it doesn't have a logo. No logos.
No logos.
No names, no nothing.
I'll look at the exact verbiage, but
Okay.
that's what I think it says.
Because I thought that's what we agreed last
That's
year.
that is what I remember, and that is what I know I have seen in the handbook, and it is something that at our back to school night back in July, I was talking to parents about, and it was announced there, and it's been, I mean, yeah. My kids are wearing yellow and green, and I've not heard, they go to school wearing it, and they come home wearing it, so I'm assuming.
If we find anything else out, we can bring that back.
Madam President, Dr. Durazo's in the audience, and she's given me the nod that that's not an announcement, and we follow the handbook. So we can help that.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else want to add something for a future agenda? All right. Is there a motion for adjournment?
I motion we adjourn.
I'll second.
And Curtis, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned at 8:11.
Thank you.
No problem.
Well done.